One of the points that you have called ugly is the fact that it doesn't do enough to stop Iran from building a nuclear weapon a decade from now, so-called breakout ability. You've called that ugly. How so?
It is ugly. You've got the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is in the first year they get rid of most of their stockpile. They mothball 2/3 of their centrifuges. The bad is short term, and that is they get their hands on $120 billion of their own money. The ugly is next decade, when they can have a enrichment facility of unlimited size. They can have centrifuges of unlimited efficiency, and under that standpoint, they will be a threshold nuclear state.
And yet, Congressman, Secretary of State John Kerry told you in Congress and your colleagues there 2 years ago that the goal is, quote, to force Iran to dismantle its nuclear program. Well, Congressman, he's breaking his promise, isn't he? I mean, this doesn't do that.
Well, I don't think it was a promise. It was a goal. And frankly, if you meet all your goals, you've understated your goals. If he had come in with a list of objectives, and Iran at that time was willing to sign up to all of them, then he should have asked for more. We always knew that he wouldn't reach all of his goals. The question is not whether this is as good a deal as he was trying to get. The question is, what should Congress do now? It's up for you and the journalists to evaluate the president. What we have to do is decide what should Congress do now and what should Congress do in the future. Yeah. And I think it's important that this deal not be binding on future administrations and future Congresses.
Well, Congressman, it appears that Iran is being rewarded here to the tune of about $120 to $150 billion, which they'll receive, as you pointed out, in the first year. Are you concerned that after they get all that money, which they may use for terrorist purposes, that this puts American lives in jeopardy?
I think American lives are in jeopardy with the deal and without the deal, because Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism.
Doesn't this increase American lives in jeopardy?
It diminishes the risk that Iran will have a nuclear weapon in the next few years, thereby reducing, and at the same time it gives Iran a lot of money. Now keep in mind, it's their own money. It's being released to them. It is their money. Most of it they will use for two things: care of the Iranian people, because they've made a lot of promises, and for graft and corruption, because that's what they do.
Well, and won't they also give it to terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah and terrorist nations like Syria?
It's clear that they have already been providing that aid, and they will continue to provide more. The limitation on the aid there is more, what are they able to physically deliver, knowing that they're subject to interdiction of their deliveries. I think even a few $100 million, let alone $120 billion, might well finance a lot of what Iran is doing. But yes, this is letting Iran get its hands on its own money is the bad part of this deal. On the other hand, 2/3 of their centrifuges, 95% of their stockpile is the good at the beginning. Yeah. So there's good and bad at the beginning. It's ugly next decade.